So, Centerville Community Cougars are going to have a pajama day this Tuesday, June 7th. We're hoping everybody will participate, wear their jammies, and bring a donation. Why would we do this? This is not new for CCS. Those of you who were here last year may remember that you participated incredibly well in some fundraising. You raised over $1,500. It was a part of an initiative called More Room for Love because they're building a new Ronald McDonald House in Halifax. Well, if that was last year, Mrs. K, why are we doing it again? Well, actually, last year's initiative was about a super awesome way to raise a whole lot of money at once for the new house. However, the PJ Walk is an annual event for Ronald McDonald's charities. There are Ronald McDonald houses all over the world, and each and every one of them supports families from the local areas and across their countries by providing this incredible service. So it's an organization that's always looking to raise funds to support families. See, this is something I know about because my family has benefited greatly from the Ronald McDonald House charities. My son Drew and I spent a great deal of time in the house. Here's a picture of the family room in the house in Halifax. Here's another view of the family room where a great deal of families spend time. And you can see there's books, there's places to watch TV, to sit, and to meet with other families. Another hotspot is the dining area because families have the opportunity to prepare food at the house and eat it so it feels more like home rather than having to eat in a hospital or eat in a restaurant all the time. And of course, the center of any home, the kitchen. This is where families can prepare their own meals, they can store food that they've purchased, they have access to fridges and freezers and all the preparation. And on certain days of the week, we're blessed with some wonderful meals that are prepared for us by volunteers. You know, it's never fun to have to stay in a hospital, and it's really never fun for kids or their families. And sometimes families just find themselves having to spend time in hospital. It's really wonderful to have the opportunity to have a place where they can stay during their treatment, after treatment, or for checkups, like my family has done. Because staying in a home that feels like a home is so meaningful when there's so much going on in your life. This is something that our family has experienced, and maybe your family has too, because actually, the Ronald McDonald House in Halifax has served thousands of families from all across Atlantic Canada since it was opened in the early 1980s. Here are some views of some of the activities that happen because volunteers come to the house and they go out of their way to make the stay as great as they can, from celebrating things like Halloween, setting up special events, or just having what they can at the home to make it feel like home. Each family has a bedroom where they stay, and then they have access to the common areas. So you can see here's a picture of Drew when he was early in his longest stay at the Ronald McDonald House in one of the rooms we stayed in. We've stayed in other rooms since then when we've had to go back for appointments. The house is absolutely fantastic, but it's getting old and it needs to be replaced. And sadly, there are so many more families that need support of this kind that we need a bigger house. So there is a larger Ronald McDonald House being built, and it's going to be closer to the hospital to make lives easy for all families. Like when they come to visit, like you can see my Blake here preparing a meal one time when he visited us when we had to stay, and even friends have had a chance to visit. The Ronald McDonald House makes what could be incredibly expensive and difficult for families a whole lot easier. It provides a place to stay that's comfortable, that's inexpensive, and the many volunteers go out of their way to make it homey. This is just a sampling of some of the wonderful foods that were shared with us in the few stays that we had there, and it's ongoing all the time. So are the volunteers who play with the kids, who set up activities, and just help them have an enjoyable time at the house. It's really hard to describe how meaningful something like this can be for families in times of need, and my wish would always be that you would never have to experience it with your family, but that's not the reality. The reality is that there's a really important children's hospital close to this home that serves Atlantic Canadian children all the time who need the support and help. And so one of the ways we can give back is to keep in mind that they could use our help too. If we can't volunteer in the house or in the family room ourselves, one of the ways that we can help is by sharing a donation. Not every family has to have a surgery or a visit or an operation or even an appointment that requires people to stay overnight. But it is still nice to have a nice, comfortable place where you can hang out. Here are some pictures of the newly renovated Ronald McDonald Family Room. It is located inside the hospital in Halifax, and this is a place when we go just for the day where we can hang out, get a little something to eat, rest and relax between appointments, or just have an opportunity to interact with other people. There are Ronald McDonald Family Rooms in many hospitals across the country. I've not been in it, but there's even one in Moncton. Again, this is made possible due to volunteer hours and to generous donations. Just a place where families can relax and try to make the best of a situation that can be not so much fun when you have to have a hospital stay. So that's why we're celebrating PJ Day at Centerville Community this week. It's an opportunity to just take some time and be thoughtful. Why is it PJs? Well, because many kids have very early appointments, and when they stay at the house in Halifax or in other Ronald McDonald houses close to nearby hospitals, they're actually wearing their jammies when they walk to the hospital. So the PJ Walk for Kids is a way to raise money, but it's also a way to raise awareness. Let's be mindful of all the kids who at one time or another have had to make that walk in their PJs or their street clothes and go to a hospital to get the services they need. We can be thinking about how we can keep them in our hearts and minds. And if we have the opportunity, like we do this week, we can choose to bring in a small donation that can go to help and support them.